بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of August 2022. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 343. These days, we're looking at the words used in chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, verse 102. And this is our 24th broadcast in dealing with the words of just this one verse of the Holy Quran. These broadcasts are brought to you by LASER, Lahore Ahmadiyya School of Education for or of religion. This is a branch of the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement or Ahmadiyya Anjuman-e-Islam. The Ahmadiyya movement was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh, whose teaching was that although other people say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, a prophet will come, this cannot be correct because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet is Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained the meaning of this term by saying, La Nabiyya Ba'di, no prophet after me. So now no prophet can come, whether it's an old prophet or a new prophet, etc. The companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum, of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, they asked the Holy Prophet that when sometime after previous prophets had died, their ummas went astray. So what will happen to the Muslims if no prophet is to come? And the Holy Prophet said that instead, mujaddideen or reformers will appear to correct the Muslim understanding of their actions and so on. Not Islam, but the way it's being practiced. And this was a chain of reformers who started appearing about a century after the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed away. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Rahmatullah Alayh also said that his distinction from other reformers, other mujaddids, was that the hadith also spoke of the coming of a Messiah and a Mahdi. He said the hadith also says that it's one and the same person. Now, if no prophet can come, then it must be that a Muslim mujaddid has been addressed by these titles. And he said he was the person who was addressed as the Messiah and the Mahdi. This, of course, is a point where there is a difference of opinion. But sadly, what happened was that those Muslims not in the Jamaat, not in the organization Ahmadiyya, started saying about the founder that he's a heretic, and people in the Ahmadi Jamaat a heretic, and so on. And Hazrat Sahib did not say that those who rejected his claim were non-Muslims or heretics, etc. In response, he pointed out that he pointed to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, which said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are not a Muslim, then it's the person saying it who's not a Muslim. So much did the Holy Prophet ﷺ dislike this thing. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also said that other people believe that some prophetic revelation is missing from the Holy Quran. And even some prophetic revelation that is in the Holy Quran, its command has been abrogated. The words are there. What the point is of having words in the Holy Quran which are ineffective, I don't know. But anyway, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that God has said that he has revealed the Holy Quran, and God has promised in the Holy Quran that he will protect and guard it. So how can anything which is protected and guarded by Allah have something missing from it, or have things in it which are abrogated and cancelled? And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also stressed that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. But the jihad defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, not by some seminary established hundreds of years after the Holy Prophet had passed away. And the Holy Prophet, when returning from fighting, said Muslims are returning from Jihad-e-Asghar, the minor jihad, to Jihad-e-Akbar, the major jihad. And then he explained that Jihad-e-Akbar, or the major jihad, is jihad bin nafs, a struggle with your own soul, with your own desires, to fulfill which you sometimes do the wrong thing. So with that, let's go to the verse of the Holy Quran, verse 102, as I said, and I'll recite the part that we are going to discuss today. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم and evil is the price for which they have sold their souls. So today we are going to look at Walabisa Ma and Shiro. So let me go to my notes on the computer. So the first, I was going to say word, I always say word, but it's really term. Walabisa. It consists of sort of three parts. Wa, which is the connecting word, it connects what's to come with what's gone previously. La, that is emphasis, to stress something. And bisa, surely evil, a word. And its root is ba hamza sin. And this root appears in the Holy Quran in 6 different forms, in total 73 times. 40 times as bisa, and 25 times as bas, or bas, actually, to be correct about it. And it means to be wretched, to be evil, also to grieve. It also means stress, punishment, anything that has suffering, adversity, anything that has the significance of hardship in it. So let me go to my notes from my right. So one thing that is found, and really you have 3 forms of this expression: al-lus, wal-bas, wal-ba'sa. And the main thing is, as I said earlier on, that hardship and something that is disliked are found in that. The first expression, bus, is used for when there is hardship arising from poverty or lack of food and hunger, etc., but also hardship caused by fighting. Whereas the other two, they're used to signify wounding, physical wounding, and loss. So the Holy Quran, for example, says, Wallahu ashaddu ba, samva ashaddu tankila, chapter 4, verse 84. That God, as far as fighting is concerned, God is very strict, as he is strict with punishment. Or in chapter 6, verse 42, it says, فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِالْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. And because of their disobedience, it's because of their disobedience that they're punished with hardship and difficulty and that kind of thing. And then about those people subjected to this, it may be a trial to see how they behave. It may be a punishment. But God says, وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ. And in difficulty, in trials, and in pain, and when they have to fight, they are steadfast. So whenever this group is subjected to any difficulty or trial, they don't turn and run. And that is the distinguishing feature of a real believer, that he doesn't give up at the time of difficulty. He remains steadfast. He prays to Allah not to take away the trial that he's being subjected to, but give him strength to remain steadfast and not let the slightest doubt enter his mind. But the Holy Quran also refers to a very important psychological principle which people should think over. Fala tab tais, chapter 11, verse 36. Don't get into this circle of remaining sad and so on. So whatever the circumstances, God is saying, don't be sad all the time. Yeah, why is that? If you're sad all the time, then it's going to lead to depression, and you get into a downward circle. Downward circle. And once you get into that circle, you lose the will to do anything to redress the problem that you're facing. Maybe to fight the wrong. Some people, I don't know, let's give an example. Prices are going up, everything is going up and becoming more expensive and so on. It's on the news in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, it's in the newspapers and so on. And some people just get depressed. Oh, what's going to happen? Prices are going up. What am I going to do? The point is not to ask you a question, just sit there and ask you a question, what am I going to do? But treat it as a challenge to see what you can do. There are always difficulties, but you have to find a solution, a way out of them. And it is hard. It's very hard. But if you just moan and groan and cry and don't do anything about it, do you think your situation will get any better, or is it going to get worse and worse? And that is the point about this. Don't be depressed and sad and sorrowful all the time. Try and do something to relieve your situation. Because it's only your action that can redress the situation. If you're ill, if you don't go to the doctor and you just lie in bed crying, saying, I'm very ill and my stomach hurts and so on, and your appendix is about to burst, what would that achieve? You have to ring an ambulance or drag yourself down to your GP or your hospital or wherever and say, I'm sick. Do something. What can I do? And the same thing applies to, money matters. Ask yourself, where can I make some savings at this time of price increases? How do I move to buying cheaper goods rather than more expensive ones? What luxuries do I have that I can cut out? You have to be steadfast and come up with a solution and implement that. But there's one thing, and of course it helps if there is someone who can support you. But there's one thing that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam disapproved of, and that was that when people who were in difficulty, monetary difficulty, would beg others and humiliate themselves. And the Holy Prophet strictly forbade this. Strictly forbade Muslims from humiliating themselves before others. And people talk about obeying the hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, but if you go to many countries outside the mosque, you will find people begging literally on their knees, hands folded, touching your feet, and God knows what else, just for the sake of a few coins. And the Holy Prophet strictly forbade this. Why? Because when you recite, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, no supreme being apart from Allah, then that means that He is the one that you should turn to for help and not anyone else. And you say it's not just the poor who do this. People who are part of a particular economic level, at a particular economic level, they behave in exactly the same way towards people of a higher level. Falsely praising their bosses, falsely begging their bosses for whatever it might be. Oh, sir, there's no one like you. Oh, sir, you always have brilliant ideas. Oh, sir, you're so clever. Oh, sir, what will happen to this office if you're transferred or you get promotion and go somewhere else? To the extent that it was said about the Prime Minister of Pakistan that Himalayas would cry if he's removed. Well, he was removed. And he has passed on. But Himalayas didn't cry. Pakistan still remained where it was. The rivers Sindh and Jhelum and Chenab and so on, they weren't flooded with the tears from Himalayas and Mount Everest and so on. It was just that his entourage, his ministers, his advisors were humiliating themselves making him akin to God, that only he can sort things out. And it's this sort of mentality, begging mentality, that when a whole nation develops it, then what happens? It's a very dangerous and damaging thing for that nation. Because people of that nation then become incapable of being honest. They're dishonest in talking to their bosses and so on, giving advice. Whatever stupid thing the owner of a factory or their boss or the minister or the prime minister or the president comes up with, oh, sir, this is brilliant. No one else could have thought of this. Wow, wow, wow. And we see this all over the world. And in chapter 39, verse 72, God refers to this and said that, those who become arrogant because of this, they end up in a very bad place. And similarly, God says, Bi salil zalimina badala, chapter 18, verse 50. That those who are unjust, they're also going to end up in a very bad place. Next word that we're going to look at is ma. It's just a relative pronoun. It simply means what. And the next word, sharau, that root appears in two different forms. Actually, sorry, it consists of two segments, as they're called. First segment, shara, is a verb, and wa and hamza, that's a pronoun. Anyway, the root is sheen ra ya. It occurs in the Holy Quran in two different forms. So in total, this root appears in the Holy Quran 25 times. And 21 times, I think, as ashtara and shara, 4 times. So, what does it mean? If I could find the beginning of my notes for this, I would tell you what it means. So, it means to sell, but it also means to buy. So, it refers to both, can refer to both. And mushtari is the buyer, the person paying the money, and ba is the person who takes the money. So when money is concerned, it's fairly clear. And the contract law maxims are very common in Persian, Farsi. It says, mushtari hushar bashad. In English, we say, buyer beware. It's literally the same as in Persian, or the Persian is the same as English. So when money is changing hands, it's fairly clear. But you see, contract law recognizes that I'm talking about English contract law, that it's not always money that changes hands. If I need a plumber and the plumber's child is doing GCSE in maths, and I need my boiler changing, and I don't have money, and he doesn't have money to give his child private tuition, we could come to an arrangement. Okay, I'll give your child private tuition in maths, and you can change my boiler. Now, no money is changing hands. I'm providing a service and he's providing a service. Or alternatively, currency doesn't exist. I need milk. Now I have chickens which have laid eggs. And I know in the next street there is someone who has a cow or some cows. So I put these eggs in my pocket to take to that man, to ask him, I want a pint of milk. How many eggs will he take for that? Now, in the first example, services were being exchanged. Here, actual physical things are being exchanged. So this is why contract law talks about offer and acceptance. And it doesn't talk about currency or price, it talks about consideration. So what is exchanged? It could be money, it could be service for service, it could be things for things, it could be things for service or service for things, and so on. So when money changes hands, it's easy. Mushtari is the buyer, he's the one paying £5, £10, whatever it is. But when services or goods are being exchanged, then each person is both a buyer and seller at the same time. I'm selling my ability to teach. That's a service I'm providing. And the plumber is selling his service of being able to change a boiler. Or I'm exchanging my 2 eggs with this guy for a pint of milk. So he's selling a pint of milk, I'm selling 2 eggs. He's buying 2 eggs, I'm buying a pint of milk. So both people are buyers and sellers at the same time. And it's very interesting that despite being different, how laws of different countries basically have the same principles. So here, وَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ, chapter 12, verse 20. And it was sold for a small price. So here it's being used in the sense of selling. And then in chapter 4, verse 74, we have يَشْرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا بِالْآخِرَةِ. So people who buy the hereafter. People who buy the hereafter, and in return they want to sell the life of this world. So, for chapter 3, verse 77, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَشْرُونَ بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ. Those people who sell God's words for a small price. So here we're talking about 2 things being exchanged. So I'm told I've overrun my time. So, with that, I'll take my leave of you with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. I welcome our friends from Russia who are watching this. Welcome to our broadcasts. I hope you're enjoying them. And I hope you'll contact me to give me your opinion. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and